Hello, I'm Tommy Moore from the Bartitsu Lab, and in this video we're going to be looking how the use of the truncheon can help you unlock some of your better Bartitsu. Now, as you know, Bartitsu is made of a variety of different arts, holistically working together for a defined purpose. In this instance, self-defense, street self-defense. And it's by combining and using and manipulating and dialing up or down those different arts that you can solve different problems. And that's what I really like about the foundational theory of Bartitsu. Now, when it comes to the truncheon, I've got other videos looking at the truncheon usage, but one of the main benefits I find is it helps people think about their Bartitsu in a slightly different way. It helps them unlock the ways in which they can bring the arts together for one unified purpose. Some notes on the anatomy of a truncheon. They're typically made of a hard wood with greater weighting toward the end. Often they'll have some degree of grip support to make it A, a bit more ergonomic, and B, make it harder to remove the weapon from your grasp. This is a longer, more old school truncheon that you'd have in an overt carry. So if you were a police officer, someone in security services, prison services, and so on, you would have something like this. If you were going for something a bit more discreet, you'd have a smaller truncheon, like so. Again, similar grip, heavy weighted head, but again, this is smaller, this is more wrist operated. Small, sharp strikes with the wrist. This is typically wrist, elbow, and shoulder moving in unison. Moving here. Either way, both are very, very useful tools, and you see these in modern forces today, both in this form, in asp form, in tonfa style form. They are a very useful, intuitive, easy to grasp tool. And obviously the anatomy of this, you've got a striking surface on the sides, so pretty standard. You've typically got a relatively hard pommel, bang, like this, and you can typically pull off very decent thrusts with this, like so. So you've got a lot of ways to use the truncheon. It's a very useful and versatile tool. Now, how does this help you with your Bartitsu? Well, one of the things about a truncheon, if you're using a club like this, or indeed you're using an improvised weapon, such as a wrench, tire iron, kosh, something like that, often when you use it, typically it's in a forehand or backhand fashion. These are the intuitive and useful shots that people tend to use. Each of these offers the opportunity for the opponent, if you haven't finished them with the strike, or if you've missed, let's say that hasn't done him in, for him to drive into me, collapse me, grapple me, obtain the weapon, or just take my head off my shoulders, or make space by moving backwards, whereupon he might pull a gun, a knife, something else. So often people won't stay in the effective range because this is the danger zone. The apex purpose of this weapon is these 2 inches at the end. So hitting him with these areas is the most important thing to me. So if I can hit him with that part, that's maximum force that I can deploy with this particular tool. I should point out that the key targets for these are naturally hard, bony, typically articulated parts of the body. So wrist, elbow, shoulder, collarbone, kneecap, jaw, in extreme circumstances over on the skull. But it's designed to make things go crack. And it's designed to do that very quickly, very simply, very expediently. So again, using this tool is a fast-track jiu-jitsu. You can spend years learning to pop elbow joints, or you can give a relatively fit person one of these, you do the same thing. So I can understand why these are a go-to tool all around the world. But how they help you get used to thinking in a more Bartitsuist fashion. If I miss, or if I hit him and it doesn't put him out, he can close or he can go back. What I can do to prevent that happening and maintain ideal striking distance with this weapon is do interstitial striking, so between the beats. And between the beats I can use different parts of my Bartitsu repertoire. So for example, I may decide to do a backhand strike. You'll note that I always keep the weapon pointed at the opponent. When I'm nattering onto you, I'll probably forget, but the purpose, if I've hit him, I ideally want to keep the weapon, I don't want the weapon to leave the frame. I want the weapon to be on the opponent at all times. Here it's done its useful job. I want to make sure it's rechambered and ready to immediately deploy. But in any instance, let's imagine I fired a backhand shot. It's not quite knocked him out. Or imagine I missed. He may charge into me or move back. What I can do now, I need to reset the weapon. This is a weapon that's only useful when it moves. And movement requires space. So what I may do is I might take something from savate. So I may take musette, a palm strike into the mouth. It comes from the French word for feedback, what you put on a horse. So I might go here, in the small opportunity window that he's got available to him, I launch that musette, buying me some space, causing him some damage and some kazushi, some disruption to his balance, allowing me to redeploy the weapon again in its most effective range. So I've used the truncheon, musette, so I've used savate as part of Bartitsu's repertoire, and then hit with something. I may decide to do that again, and in this instance use a kind of shoulder-aligned Colonel Monstry style lead-off from pugilism. Again, I've made the space, I've caused the damage, I've indexed the opponent, allowing myself to fire in another blow. So very, very important. I've flowed in another art to hit him on a half beat and allow myself the optimum range to use this weapon in its optimal format. Of course, we can use other bits of the weapon, but the best bit of a front-weighted, front-loaded weapon is obviously the hard, heavy bit. If I went for a forehand strike, let's say I miss or I hit and I don't damage him enough, he can easily close me and overpower me. So what I could use now is my JiuJitsu Brain. So I take, I open up from my Bartitsu catalogue, the JiuJitsu box, and I take an empiwaza, an elbow. So whether it's upwards, horizontal, or diagonally down, strike him with the elbow, push off at the shoulder, you buy yourself the room to strike again, in that instance with a backhand. So I've gone forehanded, to swing and a miss. Okay? Now, to redeploy my weapon, it's awkward here. It's awkward. Even with good weapon discipline, it's awkward. But what I can do is I can drive this elbow in on the half beat, buy myself a bit of space, and take that opponent across the face. If I miss here and then deploy with this hand, I've still got that awkward, whilst I'm still attacking, awkward for me to use the weapon. Whereas if I use the elbow, when I push off, I've got a lot of space to deploy the tool. So it's, again, very important. If I went with a vertical shot down the middle, which is very common, I might need to reset to use this tool again. So in this instance, I might still, again, use my musette blow, or I might use the lead off. Or, in this instance, I might take a genom, a knee from savate. So I might go here. Now I know I need to reset, but he's coming at me, so I deploy the genom, the knee, to buy me a bit of space, a bit of time. You'll notice that once I knee, I step back a bit to allow myself the room. If I just hit him and try and shuffle back, he'll close me. If I hit him hard, knee him in the groin hard, and then reset my space, I've got more than enough room to do it again, and this time finish the job. So on a vertical shot, absolutely, musette, absolutely, lead off, or absolutely, genom from savate. Nice and simple. I may wish to start the altercation by hitting in a half beat. So I may decide to do a coup de pied bas. Sorry, not a coup de pied bas, a coup de pied direct. So a kick to the groin, snapping kick to the groin. Toes going behind the testicles. Bam! Nice and nasty from street savate. Coup de pied direct. So in this instance, just before I hit him, he might be just out of range. So trying to hit him out of range is just going to be too hard. It puts my weapon in too much risk. So I might snap out with that coup de pied direct, so that his head comes forward. So again, I've hit off a half beat, bang, then deployed the weapon, making him do this, bringing his head's out of the effective range now. If I kick him in the groin, his head's going to come forward, I can nail him. If you end up very, very close, as is wont to happen, if your weapon is blunt or you haven't had the awareness or he's a big, strong, powerful guy, you end up here, you may wish to use some of your pugilism. So you may wish to use your rabbit punches, illegal punches to the back of the neck from Western boxing, pugilism. You may wish to use kidney hammers. Either way, these pugilistic strikes open up a bit of space to allow me to use the weapon. So we're here in the grapple, I smash that in to where his neck meets his head, give me a bit of space to use that. Or if I want a bit of space, I may wish to use some of my atemiwaza from jiu-jitsu, such as an ipponken, nakayubi ipponken, boshiken, the tip of the thumb, anything really that's driven into the eye. So we may be very close and may drive the boshiken, the tip of the thumb, into the eye to get a bit of space, and then I might hit him with the pommel, or explode out and hit him with the baton itself. So as you can see through this, the use of the baton, it's important to be able to learn to use a truncheon effectively, and I've got other videos talking about that. But in this instance, it acts as a brilliant aide-memoire to add in other elements of your Bartitsu. So where opportunity best allows, how can I plug in savat, pugilism? Also remember that every opportunity to strike is also an opportunity to ballistically grapple. So I'm a big fan of a slap grab. So if I'm going to use some kumikato, if I'm going to use some grips from judo or jiu-jitsu, as opposed to just grabbing, I will slap the garment and then grab. It gives me a big bunch of that jacket. So in this instance, I might have gone backhand and missed. So I'm going to slap grab, pull him, and turn him. So use kazushi to off-balance him, allowing me the opportunity in the range now to finish him off. So again, in this instance, swing and a miss. Instead of a strike, I could do, a tranche or edge of hand blow, or any number of shuto. From all of the Bartitsu arts, they all have a variant of this. So I could miss, shuto into the neck, bam! That gives me the space, or miss, slap grab, again from jiu-jitsu, give me the space, bit of kazushi, finish him off. So it's a great tool for striking of the many arts that are in Bartitsu, and the grappling of the many arts that are in Bartitsu, and filling in those interstitial spaces between using the truncheon allows you to think in a more Bartitsu-like way. So I really like it as a tool, both to learn it in an offensive way, but also as an aide-memoire to make sure you're being holistic and integrated in what you do.